Hi, and welcome to this episode of the DC Life podcast. Today, we're going to chat with someone about something in the life of our church. Today, we welcome Vanessa White into the studio.
Back into the studio.
Hi.
Hello, Ness. You're back for round two.
Yes.
Now, Ness is our children's ministry director at DC. That means you have something to do with kids and or children. Something good and very meaningful because children are a gift, aren't they, Georgie? We have three.
An abundant gift at DC.
Yes. Well, yes, in abundance. That's very true. And I know that you've spoken to us before and also at church about some of the curriculum that you go through with our children at DC in DC Kids, and while they're children going through those classes. But we want to talk to you today a little bit more about outside of a Sunday. We're parents of kids, a lot of parents of a lot of kids listening. We want to be equipping our children really well. We want to be training them really well. So we want to hear more about other resources that you might have. I'm sure you've got many with 4 kids of your own.
Oh, yes.
So first of all, just remind us, what is the curriculum that we go through or that you're going through in DC Kids with our children?
So we use the Gospel Storybook Bible. So it's a collection of Bible stories. And with that, we suggest for use at home the family devotions that go with it, which are broken into the Old Testament and the New Testament.
Now, which ones? I can never remember. We've got Old Story New.
And Long Story Short.
Long Story Short. But Long Story Short is the Old Testament.
Yes.
And
Old Story New is the New Testament. And yes, and we're going to start in with that next term. So if you're wanting to get on board with us with the New Testament, then I highly recommend you get that Old Story New devotional.
New Testament.
So we use the Gospel Storybook Bible stories on a Sunday. That's what we read with the kids when we're meeting out the back. You don't need to have that Bible story book at home. So if you want to spend funds, buy the devotional, the family devotional, and it has references that you then look up in your Bible. So you don't need to have that one at home. But it's a great story Bible. It's particularly good for primary school age kids and even like sort of the mid to upper primary school. At DC, for the younger group, the one that's kindergarten to grade 1, we adapt the stories to make them a little bit more enjoyable for them. Yeah.
So forth.
Yeah. But on Bible story books.
Yes, and I'm sure there's many.
Yeah, this is a question I get asked all the time about what Bible storybook for what age group, and I definitely have a few that I've found great. For starting off from birth, if you want to read to your newborn, to
in the womb,
to sort of that preschool age, I recommend the Big Picture Story Bible. It's by David Helm, and we'll have a list somewhere where you can come back and have.
Check out the show notes, and
because I'm going to go through a few.
We'll put all this in here so you guys can track.
Yeah, the Big Picture Story Bible is great because it has like few words to a page. It's not like most story Bibles that have the whole story and all the text on one page and a small picture, but it has more of a story feel. And it has a really great theme of obedience throughout, obedience to God. And I think that that's really great. There's not many resources that just single out the obedience like that, which is just such a key part of
that's what we're teaching them from 1 to 5. Obey, please obey.
Yeah. And I've also found with my own kids that it comes back into being really useful when the kids start to read themselves. It's a really easy text for early readers. And my kids have loved like reading through their Bible again when they're sort of like 6. And it's got beautiful normal font that they can read and easy text. So, yeah.
Great. Any others?
Yeah, and then I'd say after that we'd progress to the Jesus Storybook Bible,
which
is well known. And it's
Yes, we've got that one on our
It's
shelf.
beautiful. It has a lovely just theme of God's love for us, which is really good.
So what age is that one?
I would say that would be sort of your preschool to early primary sort of age. Like earlier is fine. It's
Yeah, it's. I think, like you said before with the other one, it's just such a beautiful storybook and picture book. But then it's actually true to the stories of the Bible, and it's true to who Jesus and who God is. So it's win-win.
And all of these are just really great at looking at Jesus and God at the center of the whole story of the Bible. The next one is the only one on this list that I don't actually own, and that's because it's new and my kids have sort of graduated past this stage. But it's the Beginner's Gospel Story Bible. So it's the lower age group version of the one that we use at church. And I have flicked through it at Coorong and it looks really great. It doesn't do as many stories as our curriculum does, but they are beautiful.
Yeah.
And who's the author for that one?
That one's Jared Kennedy.
Jared Kennedy.
Yeah. So yeah, they're the Bible story books that I would recommend.
Now I know you said you've been to Coorong to flick through. I was actually at Coorong just this week, and oh my gosh, it's so overwhelming, especially that kids section. There's so much on the shelves, and
So much colour.
it's really hard not to be. It's true. It's hard not to be coerced by the pretty pictures, and this one looks the nicest, and that one's got the prettiest cover, and I really
definitely
like those pictures. So what else have you got for us?
So I think that we really do live in a great time of great resources, but yes, overwhelming. But I've chosen a few series because they're all good then, and then that's a whole bunch. So the first series is it's called The Tales That Tell the Truth, and it's by various authors, and they keep bringing them out. Like there's a new one every year or so.
All those words start with T.
Yes.
Tales that tell the truth.
That tell the truth.
Very clever.
So there's ones that are based on Bible stories. There's ones that are based on themes. One that I particularly love is called The Garden, the Curtain and the Cross. And we have used that. We used that this Christmas just gone with DC kids. They also have with these books like colouring book resources, and also with The Garden, the Curtain and Cross, they have Easter devotional, which is really, really great too.
And are these books, like as you said there, it's a series. So are they more like Bible stories, or are they like fiction with gospel woven in? What kind of books are they?
They're Bible stories.
Okay.
Some of them have particular themes pulled out. Like The Garden, the Curtain, the Cross is the story of creation, but it takes it right through to the cross. And then they have ones like I've just got my
The
notes.
Big Idea, is that one of them?
Yes, they're very good. Big Idea, and Goodbye to Goodbyes, which is the story of Lazarus. And they have just the newest one is the Great Contest, the God Contest, which is the Elijah and Baal.
Oh, yeah. The prophets of Baal.
Prophets of Baal.
The fire from heaven thing.
So they're all great. I'd highly
cool.
recommend all of those.
Great.
And so what age are we up to?
Yeah, they're like a longer picture book. So, I mean, you could read it to young kids. But yeah, early primary, I'd say. The next one I have is for the before school age, like the really younger group, and they are called the Very Best Bible Story series. And they're sort of like little, they're not board books, they are still paper books, but they're very board book-like, and they have, and they are Bible stories like Jonah and the Very Big Fish, and Daniel and the Very Hungry Lions.
Radio.
They're really great, and they have gorgeous pictures, and they use like lots of speaking text, and like, and then suddenly ... and turn the page, and but really tell the stories well.
Okay.
They're great, and they're cheap. they're really budget friendly. Great gifts. Yeah. And then the next series is Good News for Little Hearts. And so these ones are more stories. They're fictional stories. Like one's called Zoe's Hiding Place. Another one's called Jax's Tail Twitches. And they're based around an animal group. And in them, they talk about things like anxiety and anger and failure and themes like that. We have the Jax's Tail Twitches one, which is the one about anger. And I just love that it talks about the child and the child's anger, but it also talks about the dad's anger and how he deals with his anger and how he repents and, you know, apologizes to the person and his family.
So really it's a story for parents and their children.
Yeah. I have the little blurb of these ones, which I'll just read to you. It says, the first 3 books address anxiety, anger and failure. There's lots more. There's at least 9. Bringing biblical help and hope to issues every child faces. The last page of each book contains information for the parents on how God, in his word, helps children apply biblical truths to specific issues. Together, children and parents will be guided by the stories into meaningful conversations about living by faith in the details of everyday life.
That sounds great.
And they're just great. Like they're definitely like sit down and have a long cuddle, like they're longish books, but really great investment in, you know, sharing literature, which is lovely, and God's word.
So you hit the kids and the parents at the same time.
Yes.
It's very smart.
That's the way most children's resources work, isn't it? We'll
That's
keep
good.
going?
Keep going.
Yes, this is great.
Got to get through them. So the next one is the A Child Should Know series. There's 3, but I was in my little looking last night. I think there might be a 4th. But the 3 that we have are Everything a Child Should Know About God, Everyone a Child Should Know, and What a Child Should Know About Prayer. And they're really great. I think that they hit sort of different age groups. I think that Everything a Child Should Know is like a really great basic devotional for young kids, for sort of preschool aged kids, that just has each day a little biblical fact and a Bible verse to go with it. And there's just a way you could do one of those a day. The Everyone a Child Know is a collection of biographies, just one page about, like I think there's 50 or so Christian figures in history. And, yeah, we've really loved this in our family. They love getting to know people. It's a really great introduction to the whole biography theme, genre. And with it, it also comes, you can buy separately like a card set to go with it. It's a memory card set. So not memory like the game, but it has a card for each of the people and it has the picture that they've made on the front and then a little bit of information on the back. And so we've used those too to try and learn them or just to talk about one at like a dinner conversation or something like that. That's great.
That's great because there's so many, you know, figures in society that we worship and kids particularly, you know, the heroes with the Olympic Games or sports people and whoever it is. But then to have people who can be those heroes who are heroes because of their faith, that's really cool. And it gives them an idea that, oh, when I grow up, when I become whoever I'm meant to become, I can still be strong in my faith and my faith can work through whatever it is, whatever job I get or wherever I live or whatever I do.
And I'll totally sidestep a little bit now because I think that as my kids are getting older, my eldest is almost 12 now, and I think that biographies are just a really great way to keep them reading and interested. And there are some more, like there's a few more books that are like that Everyone a Child Should Know that have like a collection of very short biographies. There's one about women called Courageous World Changers. And, yeah, there's quite a few. But there's also some chapter books. So for kids that are, and especially, I have boys, and the literacy books for boys are sometimes just so
Boring.
yeah, or just all around being naughty or funny or, yeah. And so I just love that there's some good stuff. And so there's the Light Keepers series has like 10 boys who use their talents, or 10 boys who made history, or 10 girls who made a difference. And so each little chapter book has 10 short stories,
Okay.
biographies. They're really, really great. And then there's another series called The Trailblazers that have like a whole book. So it's a little bit longer, but a whole kids' little novel book on particular people. And there's hundreds of them in the series on all different people. And so they've been really great.
Right, so we've got a bit of a collection going here, and I mean, if you're in the studio with us, you'd see the piles of books just being shuffled around the table, which is amazing. What else have we got? Because we haven't got through them all yet.
No, the next one my kids have really loved is called The Bible Infographics for Kids. At the moment, there are 2 volumes, with a third one almost ready to release. And these are Bible infographics. So it's Bible stories displayed in picture form. And it sort of looks a little bit like Lego. And, yeah, the kids love them. Adults love them. It's a real great coffee table book. Anyone that sort of comes over just picks it up. It's really interesting. If you watched in the home learning when we were in lockdown, I had to make a video of the story of Nebuchadnezzar's dream, and I used a page out of one of these books. And like the story back to that was when we were in lockdown last year, and Greg was preaching through Daniel. Both my kids went and got those books and are like, hey, we had this story in here. And and so they're really, really great.
Infographics as a medium is relatively new. It's like the merging of information and visual aids, and like as an adult, I find them very helpful.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
It's one of those things where you go, I wonder why we didn't do this sooner, you know?
Yeah.
Like as a kid, I had the Good News Bible, the kids thing with the dove on the front, and it was great. But the stuff we have today is just mind-blowing and so good. So if you're a parent and whatever, get out there and get some of this good stuff. So
yeah,
let's keep going. I'm enjoying this.
The next one is a devotional. There's just 2. The first one's called Indescribable. These are by Louis Giglio. And the second is called How Great Is Our God. And they've just been really great at using the kids' interest in how things work and science in general, and just bringing it back to an awe of God.
Cool.
They really love those. I've also bought them for our nephew that's not a church-going family, but he loves science and he loves these as well. They're really great.
That's cool.
And then I have a one-off just to throw us all out, but I think that this may become a series, but it's just new. It's called Arlo and the Great Big Cover-Up, and it's by Betsy Howard, but it's the Gospel Coalition's project. It's called a TCG Children's Book, the Gospel Coalition series, even though there's only one in it at the moment. And it's a really, really great story too. It's about a boy that draws on the wall and then tries to cover up and gets caught in his lie. And, it's just a really well-written book with God as the hero.
Great. Need more of them.
Yep. And then I have this isn't really a storybook. It's a bit of a unique kind of genre. It's called The Radical Book for Kids, and it's like a huge book, like a story Bible. And it has, I'm not even sure, but hundreds of little chapters, not hundreds, 67. So you can do it like a devotional, or it is just a fun one that they like to flick through and find something that interests them too. But it has a real variety of content. It has some of the chapters are like a biography on a person. Another one would be explaining sort of the books of the Bible. One that we read today was on Latin and how our language is based in Latin.
I can see one that says learn the Greek alphabet.
Yeah.
So there you go. It sounds like
and
a really
then
fun
there's ones that are sort of just more casual, like how to clean your room, which
While studying Greek.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
so it keeps the kids really interested, and it has really good content. It has a little bit of infographic kind of content as well.
It's even got a chapter for us, Nathan. Rules, rules, rules.
There you go. It's really, really great. It is a little bit more of an investment, but well worth it.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
Great.
And I just put my books on my notes.
So that's a whole bunch of books for kids of all ages. What about for the parents? Do you have any quick resources for us?
The one that I have here is Foundations by Ruth and Troy Simons. It's a family devotional book. But it's equally one that parents could do on their own or with their spouse or as a whole family. We went through it as a whole family, and our youngest is 6 and she still really enjoyed it. My favourite quote is just from the introduction where it just says, "Our family prioritises confession over accusation," which I just thought was such a fantastic concept.
Wow.
And it just has 6 foundations, I think. Don't quote me on that. A list of foundations, and then it takes a week to go through, like 5 little devotions for each of the foundations. But the foundations are just Christian foundations, and they're easy enough for kids to grasp, and there's a Bible verse linked to every day. And going through that was a really great resource. I can see it working right up even to teens.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, if it's good for parents, then it sounds like it's good for all ages.
Yeah,
which
yeah,
is
that's a really
amazing.
good one. And my favourite parenting book is Just Parenting by Paul
Yes.
David Tripp.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
What about some classics like the Pilgrim's Progress? Does that get a mention?
Yes, there's quite a few nice kids' versions of Pilgrim's Progress. We have the Little Pilgrim's Progress, which talks about little Christian and is sort of a revised version for kids. That's still a chapter book. My kids have loved that, reading independently and being read a chapter a night. It's one of those really great books. And they've gone on to read the real revised in normal English version and love that too. Yeah.
That sounds good.
Cool.
Yeah. And the only other thing I have on my list is there's a little series, and they're called Exploring the Bible or Meeting Jesus. And they're like an introduction to doing a personal devotional time. And so they have like a little, like it's a fill-in book, like a book you can write in, and it has a little Bible chapter that they can read each day, and one like 365, one for every day of the year. And then it has like a little place where they can do sermon notes and
It's very sweet.
yeah, and prayer points and things like that. And they're really great too.
Sounds good.
And like there's so much out there, and I think that probably even more than me suggesting particular books is probably suggesting places to look for lists. My favourite all-time list is from Risen Motherhood. If you just Google search Risen Motherhood recommended resources, there's the R's. They have a lot of recommended resources, and there's a training children tab, and it has all of these books that I've mentioned and more. And then also I just using Reformers, which is a Christian bookshop like Koorong, but it's online. They just specifically select their resources. They don't sell all children's Christian Christian children's resources. So they're just a bit more selective about what they choose, and I would, recommend having a look through them. They're good too. They also do bundle packs.
So all of our bookshelves are going to be changing over the next few months. But,
Christmas presents.
hey, look, all the parents at DC, we can all buy one each and then just, trade every month, and we'll all have some great resources for our kids.
Do you know if some of these are available in a digital format or audio format as well?
Yeah, definitely. Like the Jesus Storybook Bible is available for audiobook, and even through the Ipswich Library you can get the audiobook for free.
Cool.
And things like, what's the one that goes with it?
Ebook.
Thoughts to Make Your Heart Sing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, got it. So Thoughts to Make Your Heart Sing, which is also by Sally Lloyd-Jones. And,
Excellent. Well, that's been wonderful and
very helpful.
Very helpful.
Yeah.
And there's obviously a large list there for parents and those that want to give good resources to their children. We would highly recommend all of the aforementioned titles.
and yes, I do have them. So if you want to have a look at them, feel free to ask me. Or if you want some suggestions, I definitely will look into it.
That's very, very helpful. Thank you.
Fantastic, Ness. Well, thank you for coming in and giving us this wealth of information here to help disciple our children. It's a wonderful thing. Thank you for the blessing that you are to our kids as well at church. And we thank you and the team for what you do day in, day out, week in, week out. So thank you very much.
Thanks,
for coming on.
Pleasure.
If you'd like more information about what's going on at Disciples Church, check out our website or email us at podcast@disciples.org.au if you have any questions or feedback. Thanks for listening in. We'll catch you next time.